skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Here's to good friends, the ones we hold dear, the ones who will tell us what we need to hear, the ones who love us, right or wrong, and to all those good friends that give you this song.
Well, hello, good friends, and welcome back to The Last Walk, Remember When, with your host, Ron Baumbach. And we're going back in time again to the fun times. It's storytelling time. So get up, get off that easy chair, walk over to your icebox, reach way in the back, take out a bottle of Dr. Brown's sarsaparilla, get that tall glass, put a couple of cubes from your ice tray, pour it in, make it so it fizzles and tickles your nose. Reach up into your cupboard, get out some Mason Mints, the big ones and the small ones, better if they're in the freezer. Open them up, sit back in your easy chair, turn on the level lamp, close your eyes, get ready, The Last Walk is back.
Life is too short, we get only one turn. With luck we find beauty, but we sometimes get burned. But if you've had a true friend, or perhaps love, you've experienced the peace of heaven above.
Well, friends, today's show is called One Name Wonders, a tribute to those people throughout history, entertainment, sports, politics, religion, whatever it may have been, who simply go by one name and are known by one name. And my thanks to Wikipedia, a site on Facebook called Bygone Days, as well as a one called Totally 60s, 1960 to 1969, my buddy Mike, who produces and takes great care of our show, and a bunch of friends who helped me gather the list of these names. Now, as we do it, if I miss some, let me know who you think should be in the next round of One Name Wonders. Probably the most recognized and known one name ever in the history of the universe is a three-letter word, God. Then we had Adam and Eve. Let's not forget Moses and Noah, Saul, Jonah, Ruth, Abraham, Isaac, and David, who beat Goliath. And probably the most important name ever since then, Jesus. And of course, Mary and Muhammad, Judas, Pilate, and a name very popular now, Francis. How about Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Peter? Who are the ones you think of from the Bible that are known for one name? Now, moving into the arts, there's some famous one-name wonders. Michelangelo, the Pieta, David, etc. he did. How about Rembrandt, Dali, Dante, the famous author of the Inferno, Homer and Socrates, the Iliad from way back when. And we have Plato and Aristotle joining the group. We had a guy who burnt down Rome named Nero and Cicero. How about the beautiful Cleopatra? Or Virgil, the author, Galileo, King Tut. I know that's two words, but Tut. If you hear Tut, you know who I mean, the King Tut. Ramses, how about Attila? Confucius, Constantinople, Marco. When you hear Marco, you think of polo. And Charlemagne, wasn't he the guy with the Magna Carta? Alexander, was he the Great? And Julius, and many other Caesars. Magellan sailed his big ship along with Columbus, and Everest with the big mountain named for him. When you hear Leaf, you don't think of the car, you think of Ericsson. And Peter and Frederick from probably Prussia and Russia. And how about Ben? Is it Franklin? And Marquette, the college, university, or the explorer? When I hear the name Pearl, I think of Pearl Buck, or Susan B. Anthony, and I think she's a silver dollar. Marie, Madame Curie. Amelia, who do you think of with Amelia Earhart? Indira Gandhi. And Joan, to me, could be my cousin, but also Joan of Arc. How about Helen? When you think of Helen, who do you think of? Helen Keller is in my mind. And Teresa, for us on our family, is my mother-in-law, but also Mother Teresa. And Diana, we all think of one person most likely, Princess Di. And Eleanor, I have a great cousin Eleanor, but I think someone Eleanor, FDR, has her as his wife. And Margaret was your mom, but also Margaret Thatcher, people may think of. And Babe, many people think of Babe Ruth. There's also Babe Didrikson Sakaras. And Michelle may have been the Beatles song from way back when, the 60s, but more recently, it's Barack Obama's wife, Michelle Obama. And Rosa is obviously Rosa Parks. Who are the names you think of in history? The one-name wonders.
Oh, I've been so lucky and I've been so blessed. In spite of my failings, I've found success. For I've known love and I've known good times, and I have known friendship and written some rhymes.
And as we go through our list of one-name wonders, there's many of them in the sports world. And some have crossed over to different sides. When you hear Michael, do you think of Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan? George could be George Washington. It could be George Steinbrenner. It could be W or George Bush Sr. Or maybe it's George Costanza from Seinfeld. We mentioned the two famous Babes, with Babe Ruth probably being the most famous name in sports ever, I would think, in my mind at least. Well, Pele has lived that. How about Gordie Howe? And in New York, if you hear the name Willis, you think of number 19 from the Knicks, Willis Reed. Or Patrick, number 33, Patrick Ewing. When I hear Drazen, I'm thinking of Drazen Petrovic from the Nets, who sadly left his career and his life way too early. And how about Mickey, Willie, and the Duke, and Ali, Shaq, Beckham, and of course there's Yogi. Who were the famous sports names you think of? Rosie? Vince? Perhaps that's Lombardi to you? Peyton is only one Peyton that we know of, and OJ's name lives in infamy. Dion, Otto, and Clyde. In the land of global politics, there are many. We have Churchill on one side, Hitler on the other, Mussolini on one side, FDR on the other, and Harry, in my mind, was Harry Truman, and Bess was his wife. How about Ike? And Abe, as in Abe Lincoln. Franco from Spain. Khrushchev. Gandhi. famous person, Lenin and Stalin. And of course, Napoleon, not the famous dessert, but the famous leaders in France. And Mao from China. The Donald, we all know him as President Trump. And Hillary as the wannabe president. And Jackie as a famous First Lady, who I was fortunate enough to once meet. And when you think of Barack, you think of our past president. Who are the people I missed? Who were you thinking of? You said, geez, he didn't say so-and-so. Who do you think I missed on this list? Coming up, we have entertainment figures. There's a lot of them who go by one name as one-name wonders. Probably no list of famous one-name wonders would be complete without a list of all those from the entertainment industry from years ago and the current listing now. Many who wish I don't know now. I don't recognize a lot of the people who sing the songs. I've heard the names from my grandkids, but don't know them all. But I do recall Cher and Elvis. How about Rod and Prince and Seal? How about Elton and Dion? Satchmo rings a bell. And Donovan.
She's just mad about me. They call me Mellow Yellow, quite rightly. They call me Mellow Yellow, quite rightly.
I love that sound of Donovan. And remember, how about the four Beatles? Ringo, Paul, John, and George. When you hear those names all together, you know who it means. If you hear Ringo, you know who it means. But I dare say if you hear Paul separately, or John, or George, you may not make the dots connect. But when you hear the name Fabian, you know who that is.
I got a kiss like honey and a squeeze so fine. I'm available for kissing any old time. I'm a man. Oh yeah, I'm a man. Oh,
and of course we have the lady called Madonna. When you hear Frank, you probably think of Frank Sinatra. I think of my dad. Or Sting is one thing, the performer. Bruce, around this part of the country, we know who that means. It's Bruce. And Billy is the guy from New York, also called Joel. When Lassie's name is sung, you know we mean that dog, the collie, from the 50s and 60s. And no one played the piano better than Liberace. How about Bono? And one of my favorite instrumentalists, a guy who drove one of my friends, Paul Wild Yanni. And when you hear the Chariots of Fire, you may not know it, but it's done by a gentleman named Vangelis. I absolutely love that song and use that to motivate my team when I did global sales going way back when. We ran the race and we won it most of the time. As we go through our list of famous one-name wonders, how about Charo? And of course, the one, the only, Oprah. And Rafi, Enya, Elvira. Years ago, the soap operas had a Luke and Laura. Zachary, Divine, Shakira, and we all know Beyonce, Slash, Superman, Tonto, Trigger, Pink, Jewel, Eminem, Melanie. And what did she have?
Well, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key.
And there's Lulu, Meatloaf, Sinbad, the Big Bad Hulk, and Rock. How about Teller from Penn and Teller, who ironically I heard legally has changed his name to just Teller. You think of Seinfeld, who do you think of? And Kramer, Sting, Adele, Engelbert, Godiva, Twiggy, and I-Man. But the one name I'm really proud of, and I love seeing this person